I have watched the tribunal hearings for Judge Maumela. Remember, Judge Maumela was suspended last year. For those who are not familiar with the background, he was suspended at the request of the Judge President of the Gauteng Division of the High Court, Judge Dustin Mlambo, Judge President Dustin Mlambo. It was Judge Maumela and Judge Thusi, if I'm not mistaken. He asked the president to suspend both of them because they were taking time to deliver judgments. So the president did suspend them, and Judge Maumela obviously was removed from the Senzo Meyiwa trial because at the same time he also got sick. His health was taking a nosedive. So accordingly, he was also removed from that trial. Now the hearings have commenced, and on Monday, I think it was the first day, if I'm not mistaken, of the hearing. And initially, I thought Judge Dustin Mlambo was just being harsh. I thought there should be some reasons why Judge Maumela, a judge like Maumela, would delay judgments. I don't think it could have been because he was incompetent. But when Judge President Mlambo gave his evidence, there was some persuasion that there could have been gross incompetence on the side of Judge Maumela. Yes, he was suspended, Chobolo Lillian. Over and above him being sick, he was also suspended. So when Judge Mlambo started testifying, he mentioned that Judge Maumela has been reserving judgments for too long. Some of the judgments were reserved for 4 years, 5 years. Remember, the matter was heard, everything is done. The matter is adjourned for judge to deliver judgments. Sometimes these judgments, they can take up to 6 months, but 4 years was too much. So he had judgments that he had reserved for 4 years, one for 5 years. And according to Judge Mlambo, when those judgments were finally delivered, the quality was poor. In some instance, the judgment that was reserved for 5 years, when it came, it was just 9 pages. Which didn't justify the 5 years. He was of the opinion that that judgment probably could have been written in a week, even though he didn't say that exactly. It's just my words, paraphrasing what he was saying. So those were the challenges, and he said whenever he would call him or send him email, sometimes he would respond, sometimes he would not respond to emails or to calls. And then he said, there was a time where Judge Maumela had postponed a matter to recess. Like you see, next week, the court is going on recess. Like the court is going on a break. Like Mnis was saying that they should continue on the break. So Judge Maumela did something like that. He postponed a matter to the period where they were on a break. And on that day when the parties came to court, he was not there, and Judge Mlambo had to call him again to ask him, where are you? In actual fact, he couldn't get hold of him. So he had to call another judge in Limpopo, in Polokwane, to check on him. And Judge Maumela was like, no, I'm in Polokwane. There was an instance where he was called and he said he's in Venda. So Mlambo was not happy because he says legal practitioners were complaining to him. He asked the legal practitioners to complain directly to the JSC, but they were afraid because they can complain about him today, and then next week they have to appear before him. He's going to victimize them. So they were afraid. So Judge Mlambo felt that he had to take the matter in his own hands and lodge a complaint, because he was receiving a lot of complaints, including the complaint that Judge Maumela was drinking tea. Remember the time he said, no guys, it's not tea, it's H2O, HO2, but he was drinking it with a mug, coffee mug. So he said, no, it was warm water. For health purposes, he had to drink home water. So apparently even the Chief Justice called about that incident to say, but that's not acceptable. So ultimately the Judge President lodged a complaint against him. And it appeared when the Judge President was delivering his evidence in chief, it appeared he had facts, he had his story in order against Judge Tshifiwa Maumela, but that was up until cross-examination began, and this is where these things sometimes gets interesting. Judge Maumela was represented by Advocate Badela, very eloquent gentleman, and I think he poked some serious holes on the testimony of Judge President Mlambo. He asked him one important question about performance management, that did he have a performance management system for judges? And Judge Mlambo said, no, I can't performance the day-to-day functions of the judges. These people are independent. They are independent in their own right. They are employed on their skills and capabilities to come and hear matters and write judgments. So I cannot performance management them. But it would appear the lawyer was of the view that no, there has to be some sort of performance management. And he quoted a paragraph from the norms and standards which supported his submission that there should be some kind of a performance management system for judges. But Mlambo was not in agreement with that proposition. And then I think for me the turning point was when the former registrar of Judge Maumela came to testify. He's a gentleman, I forgot his name. Apparently that guy, when he left, I think he left Maumela in 2019, he did not tell Maumela that he was leaving. He just left. He only told his line manager, because these registrars, over and above them working for a judge, they've got managers, court managers that they report to. So he only told his line manager that he was leaving and his few colleagues, but he did not tell the judge that he was working with. And he says the reason for that was because Judge Maumela had called another lady in Johannesburg saying he want her to come and assist him in Pretoria. So that lady called this guy, the registrar. And the registrar was not happy to hear that. So he felt like the judge doesn't want him, but he's not telling him. So in any case, he got a permanent appointment in Mpumalanga and he left without saying goodbye to the judge. But during cross-examination, it appeared that indeed Judge Maumela had a difficulty working with this guy, because Judge Maumela kept on losing his records, his important court records, documents. He lost them. And there were those instances where Judge Maumela would be double booked. He would have postponed a matter in Pretoria, and on that very same date he would be having another matter in Polokwane. And it looked like this guy was not aware of that. This guy says Judge Maumela used to take his records home. So when the documents were missing, some of them would be found at the boot of his car. In some instances he will drive to Maumela's home to go and search for the missing documents, and he would find them there. So it looked like basically Maumela's filing system was just poor. And when the judge's filing system is poor, now the question will be, should you really blame the judge or the person who is appointed to assist him with those kind of things? So the guy was like, no, it's not my problem. But the questioning by the commissioners as well gave me an indication that there was something wrong, because Judge Dennis Davis asked that guy, the registrar, that if a judge is booked in Pretoria and in Polokwane, would you know about it? And that guy said, yes, ordinarily I should know. And they asked him, when Judge Maumela was double booked, where he postponed a matter to recess in Pretoria, and found himself in Polokwane on another matter. Were you aware of that? And he said, no, he was not aware. But he was trying to duck and dive, actually, because the emphasis was that as a registrar, you ought to have known, you ought to have intervened and reminded the judge that, no, judge, you've scheduled a matter in Pretoria, so you cannot attend to another matter in Polokwane. So that was clear that the registrar was not on the ball. He was not doing justice for Judge Maumela's diary and running his office. And then Judge Dennis Davis made an example again with himself. He said, I forget as a judge. I forget, and there was a time where I had a matter that was set down for 9 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, I was busy drinking coffee. Thanks to my registrar, came 2 minutes and reminded me that, Judge, by the way, you've got a matter at 9. And 9:05, the judge was in court. And he said, had it not been for my registrar, I would have just chilled, having my coffee, forgetting about the matter. So I think they were trying to emphasize to say, you were not being helpful with helping the judge. Firstly, with his diary, the matters that were before him, and with his filing system. Because one version that was put by the lawyer for Judge Maumela was that Judge Maumela is going to come and testify, and his current PA, his current registrar, is going to come and testify that when she arrived, after that guy left, sometimes they are called PA, secretaries, sometimes they are called registrars. I don't know which word is commonly used, owner. But I think in these proceedings they are being referred to as registrars. So the lawyer indicated that the current PA is going to come and testify that when she arrived, Judge Maumela's filing was in tatters. It was all over. It was poor. She had to rearrange it, and basically she had to rearrange the office of Judge Maumela. So I think there's going to be a valid defense that Judge Maumela did not have a proper registrar who was assisting him accordingly. Obviously, he was a man. I don't think men, I could be wrong. I don't think men makes better PAs, guys. Unless if they are gays. Unless if it's a gay. Gays are organized, especially when they are PAs. But I don't think men make better PAs. I could be wrong. But I don't think that guy was really helping Judge Maumela. And the fact that Judge Maumela wanted to take somebody from Joburg to come and assist him, he realized that this guy was not assisting him. And there was a point where Maumela said this guy crashed his laptop, which was one of his defenses when Mlambo was asking him why is he reserving judgments for too long. He said his laptop was crashed, and apparently it was dropped by this guy, the registrar. So he denied that. TT says Chief Justice Mogoeng PA was a man. Yeah, I've came across men who are PAs, TT. I've also in my life previously applied for jobs to be a PA, but I don't think I was going to be a good PA if I ever became one. Fortunately, I didn't. But I could be wrong. Maybe there are men out there who are organized, perfectly organized, but I don't think that guy who was testifying, who was Judge Maumela's registrar, was helpful in assisting him. And the questions by Judge Dennis Davis pointed to that fact as well, that there was a problem. And there was a problem of Maumela losing files, important court records, which led to him delaying judgment. And I think after that guy left, from 2020, Maumela was not reserving judgments for that long period. So I think it's clear that there was a problem that Dustin Mlambo should have picked up as a manager. Because this is another important thing, guys. I was fortunate enough to study human resource management. It was called personnel management at the time, around 96, 97, at Technicon. And the most important modules that we studied at that time was labor laws. And we were fortunate to study labor laws at their inception. Remember, the Labor Relations Act was passed in 1995. The Basic Conditions of Employment Act was passed in 1997. So we studied those laws at their infancy, when they were still fresh. I think the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, we studied even the white papers and the green paper. So we got to appreciate the intention of the legislatures at that time when they were drafting those laws. And I remember one of our lectures, Mr. Mamji, he used to say, as an employer, as a manager, you must be involved, not 100%, in the personal affairs. People are asking me how old I am. I'm old, guys. I may look like Ben 10, but I'm old. I'm old. So yeah, he said managers need to know a little bit about their employees, their subordinates, personal life. And he made this interesting example that imagine a man or a woman being faced with divorce at home. Do you think this person will perform at work? Definitely this person won't perform. Depending on the intricacies of that divorce situation. So Mlambo, when he was confronted with that reality, said, no, judges are independent. You can't performance manage them. But I don't think that is the case, because there was a question by Judge Dennis Davis that there was a point where Judge Maumela was sick. I think he had stroke. Yeah, he had stroke and he was away for weeks. And no one was aware of that. And Judge Dennis Davis asked Mlambo, but how is it possible that a judge can be away for 2 weeks and no one is realizing that? And Mlambo could not answer. All that he could say was that he didn't tell me. So people are estimating my age. This is interesting. I'm sure Brady is 48 or 49. Being at Technicon in 96, 97 puts him at that late for nice one, Mundisi. Nice analysis. I know I'm not 52, like I was. Yo, that's too old. So yeah, I think personally, Judge Maumela has got a credible defense, because there was a point where he was in hospital. He had a stroke, but his boss obviously never called to check where he was. And I guess that would have informed him not responding to his calls, because I mean, if I can disappear from my work for 2 weeks and nobody's calling me to check where are you, I mean, I may resign as soon as I come back. I may very well resign. So I think those are some of the things that are going to speak in his favor. To say he had a health issue for starters, and nobody seems to have been interested to know what's bothering him. And at some stage, we know he sent an email to Dustin Mlambo informing him that he's got a chronic illness and he needs to go and consult with doctors in Venda. So Mlambo said no, he interpreted that email as a request for time off or for permission to be off duty. But I don't think so. He was informing him that I'm sick. So yeah, so that's what basically happened on this case, guys. If you guys want to come and have inputs as to whether do you think Judge Maumela was incompetent or he had challenges that are reasonable, you can come and give those views. And then if you want to talk about the Senzo Meyiwa trial, we can continue with the discussion as well. If you want to talk about the Thabo Bester issue, the what do you call the Shaw Max documentary, you can. Guys, I'm not 50. Yes, I'm in my late 40s, but not 50. And that's why sometimes when people ask me my age, I forget. And I honestly forget because I don't want to see myself at 50. But yeah, I'm in my late 40s. Yeah, laughing fries. Ace. Well, there's nothing wrong with judging, Ace. There's nothing wrong with judging. We are expressing our views, Ace. If you want to come and give your input, please feel free to do so. But to say I'm quick to judge, no, we are going to block you because we're not here for those kind of debates. If you've got your own view, come and give it. We're not judging, we are expressing our opinions. It's as easy as that, Ace. It looks like you are new here. We are here for intellectual debate, Ace. Give our views, give our opinions as robust as we can. If you see that as judging, feel free to come and also give your view. So, yeah. We must have a 40+ life for old time's sake. Yes, I agree, laughed in France. Okay, guys, let me check who is here. All right, we've got Official Minister and Brenda. And we got Hamza. And remember, guys, as soon as I accept you on the panel, please mute your microphone up until it's your time to speak. But then you went to middle school, then Technicon, Koslogela, surely late 40s. Yes, TT, late 40s, not 50s. I'm not at 50 yet, and I don't want to be at 50. I went to Slogeloka 96. Yeah, was it 96? Yeah, because I finished, okay, let me help you. I finished matric in 1994. 1995, I was at home. And then 96, I went to tertiary. So that should help you figure out my age. I completed my matric in 1994. Bontle was not born at that time, eh? Official Minister, good evening, my friend. Let's get out of my age dynamics and deal with real issues.
Good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all good, Brenda.
Evening. How are you, my brother?
Good. I guess we are freestyling today, brother.
Yes, we are.
So
we can also discuss your age.
Yeah, no, my age is very clear, brother. It doesn't need any
iPhone ruler.
No, it's straight. To Brenda first wash what it's straight. Lendaba. iPhone ruler. Brother.
Yes.
We'll discuss an A some other time. They are just pressing matter. Otherwise, we'll end up debating some.
MJ is freestyling with music now.
MJ, I don't know if it means Michael Jackson. Pradeni.
Itara.
Indaba kama yaka Tshifiwa. What's happening? Yeah, no, we are freestyling indeed.
Yes, it's a problem, this freestyle.
Hamza, please mute.
Yeah. In Indaba Tshifiwa Prateni is a stress.
Yes.
You know, one of my mentors back then, I'm proud, Prateni, to say, at some point, I was mentored by the chief data officer of a US military. I saw myself in Pentagon one of the days, but that one for another day. But what he said to me was, when he was still there as a chief data officer, he said to me, you do reach a certain level in your career where you take ownership.
Yes.
No one is going to come after you you're going to have tasks, manage your own thing, and you are not going to sit saying you are looking for a work or waiting a task to be assigned. You must go out, look for problems that must be solved, write proposal, business case, solve those problems. That shows that you are now ready to, or you are in the leadership position. So, Tshifiwa, Judge had a task at hand to do. He obviously had complications. Like you say, it might have been of support staff, it might have been sickness. But at the position where he is, Prateni, is not an LLB graduate who is who's still saving articles or who's still learning the ropes. At that position, you take ownership and leadership because you also provide that. Maumela was supposed to raise those issues. At some point, the judge president was struggling to get hold of him. Why didn't he raise those issues? Because at that position, he must take exactly that ownership. I mean, even if he didn't have a support structure and all that, he had to take initiative. And say, this is my problem, I can't operate, these things are not working. And the JP is there to help. I think when I look at it, he's going to have a tough one. I think he's going to have a difficult one because other than the support structure, the position that he holds, he's got that mandate. I mean, as much as the JP has said that this guy is not, we are not at that point of doing employee performance appraisal and all that because you are at a different position. You must run with it. Otherwise, I'll spend the whole year trying to manage people holding their hands as if they are juniors when they are seniors. He said he's there on the top 10 and top there. So, and it is also said that the matters that he was having, these are not the matters that should delay judgment for years up until those who were complainants or who were part in those matters even pass away without even getting their judgment. That was bad. And I'm interested to see how is this defense going to make it towards the end. But yeah, it seems like he was also not organized because files will go home, they will come back not complete and all that. And one thing they have managed to demonstrate when they were asking questions to his ex-assistant, it became clear that the guy, that question he didn't answer in confidence to say, will he know if a judge is somewhere else and attending to the other matter? Will he know if there is a clash? There is a conflict. He said something, one of the answers he provided was, I'll hear from the judge. They said, you hear from the judge? Is there no any other means? And then he tried to maneuver to get a proper answer there. But I do agree that it might be that there was no support, tick, but that is not an excuse, especially at this position, not to deliver judgment. So that is one point, Pradeni. Another thing, because we are freestyling, quick one. Pradeni, it is brewing in Durban.
Before we move away, Official Minister, sorry about that. Before we move away from Maumela, there's this other angle that I want us to close as well. The issue of the Senzo Meyiwa trial. Dustin Mlambo says Judge Maumela was not supposed to hear that matter. He was only supposed to case manage it until it was trial ready.
Yes.
And then the agreement was that after he got it to trial ready status, he'll hand it back, and between Mlambo and Obrili Dwaba, they will allocate another judge. But they are accusing him of case managing it, and after that he continued to trial stage. But his defense, his version is that he didn't trial manage that case. And I think he's right, because I remember there was another judge who was involved before that matter went to trial. What's your view there?
Yeah, in the absence of that documentation that the JP said they can extract, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to prove that. But if ever it is documented, then I think his defense there will be weakened, because the only other person who can come to attest to that conversation is Obrili Dwaba, I think, who will have to come and say yes, there was such a conversation. But I think Maumela legal person was right to say, in the absence of such documentation, how are we going to do this? Because if ever it was not documented and it was not written anywhere, obviously it might be that that's not what he understood at that particular point in time. There might have been conversation, but he may dispute to say, I was not part of that conversation. And then what else if there are no documentation? Yes.
Oh, cool.
So JP has promised to get those records before the commission. Let's wait for them and then hear what he says. But the response, I was not confident with his response to say there is that documentation. How he responded, it was like it should be there because of this process. It seems like it may not be there. So he might come and say, no, it's not there. So let's wait for it. Yes.
Right. We can go to Durban.
Yeah, Ziyakhala at Durban. I was Pradina. I was in Durban. The guys applied for bail.
Yes.
Almost all of them. It was interesting to know that the person who was arrested first, 14 December, who's Lindokuhle Mkhwanazi, he's a taxi owner. And this is the guy I said he was involved in killing William Kunene, according to the police dockets. So he is saying he is a businessman. He's got 2 taxis. I'll come to how they managed to get these 2 taxis according to the evidence of Ukwabini. Because according to Kwabini, let me just conclude on Lindokuhle. So he applied for bail. He's saying he's got even a loan that he's currently paying together with Umfazwake. So they are making roughly 40,000. And then you've got Lindan in demand, who is also a taxi boss, and I think he owns quite a lot because 4 taxis are owned there. That's the second person. is making around 250,000, and they all saying their financial obligations are key. If they are there in prison, they may not be able to meet their financial obligations, and there are people who depend on them. This guy, Ulindan in demand, he raised an interesting point because he was assaulted by police, according to him, to force him to confess. The young boy, the 21-year-old or 22 years of age, is unemployed. He's 2 counts of murder. He's not working anywhere. Yeah, there isn't much on him, but he's saying money should not be an issue. I mean, you don't have to get a bail because you've got assets. Otherwise, that will be against our constitution. So equally, he says, whatever money that I'll be paying, as much as I'm poor, I won't afford to lose that money. If it's 5,000, 10,000, I'm not working. I won't afford to lose that particular money. I'll present myself. So the interesting guy is Umtitieli Wezingabi, Ukwabini. Ukwabini is a businessman, Bradeni. He's got 3 companies, a mining company, a consulting in mining, and then a construction company. This guy makes about between 2 to 3 million per annum. So it is interesting that he's saying that one of his business he's got a security company, but that security company is not a registered security company, it's a division. And in that division, he hires all of his co-accused. And the reason he's hiring them is they are interested into taxi business, of which he's not. He hires them. He's giving back, basically. He's saying, I'm giving back to the community by hiring these guys. They provide me securities when I travel to Mpumalanga for my mining business. They accompany me there. They accompany him there, and then he pays them so that they can then be able to penetrate inside the taxi business. So he's currently saying, I'm doing good. And he's saying on that particular day, this is very interesting, Pratini, because there is no evidence that is yet led by the police, unless if he's saying he's making a conclusion from the leaked documents in Swaziland, because he's saying there is a coincidence here, guys. On that particular day, there was about 800,000 plus amount that was deposited into my account, and I distributed it among these guys. Like I have indicated that he is saying he hasn't been paying them for quite some time when they provide these securities, when they got his family members, fetch kids, Koskolong, they take him to Mpumalanga. He hasn't been paying them because of a cash flow or something towards that line. But when he got this 800,000 from a reputable business, because he adds on there, brother, and he says, the police, with their investigation of telephone triangulations, that put the guys at his residence, because he is saying after AKA was murdered, these guys, they came to his residence. That's what he told the court. But when they came to his residence, he says it was just a coincidence. And it was just a coincidence that they were paid on that particular day. He is saying police obviously identified these via cell phone records. And it is just a pure coincidence. And with the BMW, he says, he don't remember driving that BMW on that particular day, but that BMW is used for family. It's used to pick up kids, go skolong, and all that. So that is Kwabini. He's a businessman and he's making that amount. But what was interesting for me was that point where he says it's just a coincidence, and they might obviously have identified these via cell phone records. And then the last guy who handed himself over He's also a taxi owner, and he owns a poultry business, making 70,000 region amounts around that region. That's what he is currently making. He's also saying, this guy, Ulindo Guhle is his name. He's saying the police, when they went to his home, I remembered Muzi, because he said something like that. He said they went to his home looking for him, they didn't find him, and then they pointed next to the kraal to say, that is where your grave is going to be, young man, telling Umamawake to say, that is where his grave is going to be if he's not going to be here. And then they also called him to say, you are going to die, young man, we are going to shoot you, we mean business. So he's saying that was a threat of some sort. So things are developing nicely in KZN. With regards to Swaziland, in Swaziland, the South Africa submitted documents. They were supposed to be argued. The state in Swaziland is ready, but then the defense said no. They want to appoint a senior counsel from South Africa. Oppose, then is everything good for South Africa. But if they oppose, they will then have to agree on a date to come and put their arguments forward. But I'm happy with regards to the developments. It seems we are going to see the guys soon in South Africa.
I think so. In particular, that they are not, from what we have learned, they are not really challenging the extradition. And the conditions that they've put forward, like we discussed the last time, I think the police can quickly agree to those. Even if they don't comply, but they can just agree. They are not asking for something that's out of this world. We need them here. I think that's the most important thing. So, yeah.
And most importantly, we need those 4 cell phones,
Yes.
so that the data can be extracted, and then all the information there is chatted, and then it can then be presented before court. But I'm interested to find out what is this reputable company that has paid Umtitieli Wezinkabi. It's going to be interesting to find out what business are they in, because he says he has been in business with that company for 3 years. So it will be interesting to see previous transactions as well. And in conclusion, my brother, I've taken time already. In conclusion, guys, if you watch that commission, there were lawyers who came in this platform. They told us that the version doesn't matter. Go and listen to the commission of Judge Maumela and listen to what Jafta said.
Yes.
You will then understand that submission that the version doesn't matter is not true.
Yes.
Jafta said, you have left your version hanging. I don't know it was intentional or what. Because you are saying he didn't appoint himself. The question is, who appointed him?
Yes.
And all the 2 judges, they say it is very important to understand this version, because if we don't understand it, it's going to create issues in arguments.
Yes.
Didn't we see version creating issues in argument in the sense of Meyiwa trials?
Yes.
When some legal minds told us that the version doesn't matter, and we argued to say that cannot be.
Yes.
If it doesn't matter, it's a waste of time. Why do you even put it? Go and listen to that, then you will see that the version matter. That submission, I think they misdirected themselves there, Pratini. Thank you.
Yes, I think the best we can do is to use that language. They misdirected themselves. But next time, they must be careful not to misdirect themselves. Because like we usually say, we are here to educate the public, not to mislead people. We were very clear about the role of the versions, the importance of a version, your client's version being put to witnesses. It's not something that we can just highlight and move away from, like Jafta said. And thank you for bringing that one, Official Minister. Very important. All right, guys, thank you for 111 plus, 112 plus likes. Thank you for that. And thank you as well to all our gifters. Let me quickly check them. Granny of 2, Namni Nindlovu, Mpo, Pilda Mutoko, Zanele, Tulani at 1, and Mami 1996. Thank you, guys. Brenda, good evening.
Brother, evening. Evening, official. Evening, everyone.
Yeah, boy.
Brother, I'll come after everyone with my slot. Ne?
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Loved in France, good evening.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. And everyone else on the panel and in the comment section. Danny, I am listening to, I haven't listened much to the commission into Judge Maumela's fitness
Yes.
to hold office. But there are certain things that, as you speak, which should be universal. Judge Maumela appears to be a poor performer. But over and above that, judges are still employees, even if they are judges. And you look at JP and his problems, his inability to manage Maumela. It's because he doesn't have a system of managing poor performance in the workplace.
Yes.
That's number one.
Yes.
There are certain things, for example, in the workplace, when you have a poor performer, the idea is not necessarily to fire an employee. It goes against the Labor Relations Act to fire.
Yes.
That you hire people, if they don't perform, you fire. Gone are those days in South Africa.
Yes.
There are systems in place that could be placed. Number one, as Judge Maumela said, was a performance management done? It appears not. Secondly, when you establish that you have a poor performer, there are certain interventions that you must institute. For example, you ask them the reasons for poor performance. One, you give them time to improve with the existing mechanisms in the workplace. If those fail, this is now a PIP, poor performance improvement plan. After that, after failing, you identify first that they are poor perform. You seek reasons, and you give warnings to say that you are concerned that they are slacking. You give them time after that to improve out of their own, given that they are in that position because they are qualified and they can do it. After that, you conduct another assessment to determine whether there is an improvement. And all of this is done in good faith. You don't do it with the idea that you've already set your mind that they are a poor performer, even though you know. You don't make that known, or it doesn't become a perception. And then after you've given them a chance, you assess them. After assessing them, you establish that it continues. Then you move on to the next stage, and you say to them, how do we assist you? You can have training interventions. You can assist them in their filing, but it's got to be clear. And there's got to be some interventions to assist a poor performance, to assist in improving poor performance. One, there's got to be timelines. And there's also got to be an agreement The employee consent has to be able to say, I agreed to this. And you give that a chance also. And you assess after that. Only after you've assisted them can you establish an inquiry, which is what they're doing. But it appears there in courts, judges don't have that. But then that breeds ground for this type of thing. It would be difficult to hold employees accountable if you don't have a performance management system. It does not mean that the fact that they are judges, they're above being a normal employee. Judges is a job that you apply for and you are appointed. There might be regulations that guide. It's the same as doctors, nurses, firefighters. So, and then you move on from that. Judge Maumela explains, quite validly so, that he doesn't appear to doubt, to say that he disagrees that he's not a poor performer. But he had serious health problems. He had a stroke. You are not going to wake up today and have a stroke. There must have been, and it appears that he has been having some ongoing problems. Number two, Judge Maumela himself didn't have the support system, the right support system to assist him to do his job. And if you look at that, JP himself doesn't have that support system to assist Maumela. So it appears that the culture there is that everyone does as they please. You have judges, filing is important, but you don't have a filing system, a uniform filing system that anyone knows, and there are guidelines. Are you allowed to take files home? If you take them home, in what format? The safety of files, is that allowed? That you can take? Maybe they can take them, but there's certain things that what is this? What do you call it? The Office of Judges appear to have failed in. For example, they didn't have the right workplace culture. Number one, that the JP couldn't manage the judge. The judge couldn't manage his own assistants. So if you have employees that are difficult and that understand the provisions within the law, Judge Maumela is a judge, and we've listened to him when he was, well, I personally would listen to him when he, on Senzo Meyiwa's trial. He's not a dumb person. He's not a dumb person. People like that in the workplace are difficult to manage.
Yes.
They will run rings around you if you don't have a proper structure. Yes, Tense, you say be realistic. I'm a manager with over 10 years experience. So I'm not talking about something that I don't know. Judge Maumela is going to walk. They're going to, for example, in cases like that, where an employer has failed to create an enabling environment, for example, they would say to them, for example, yes, the employee didn't, but you also didn't have proper systems. He was sick. Was there employee wellness?
No.
That he could access?
Actually, left in France, Judge Dennis Davis takes that point even further. He says, how possible, how can it happen that a judge is not in chambers for 2 weeks and nobody's able to pick that up? At that time, that judge is in hospital. He can't call and say, I've been hit by stroke.
Yes. So it also suggests that some employee-employer relationship might have broken down. For example, if you are in hospital, most companies would still have a provision within their policy to say, someone in your home, you send someone from your home that they inform the employer that you are not able to come to work. And at a later stage, they will update as to the status of your health and your availability back in the office. So in such cases, for example, in my experience, they will say, for example, yes, he's a poor performer, we agree. But number one, he didn't have the right support systems that as an employer you had to create for him. Yes, he's a judge, but still, so they might say, for example, maybe get him into a PIP.
Yes.
They might say something like that, where you follow those steps to say, for example, we are going to assist you to become a better judge. First, let's establish, do you have problems understanding the law? If that's not the problem, what's your problem? How do we assist you? Secondly, that office itself, not necessarily the office of the JP, I think it would have to be the entire South Africa where judges report. It has to be overhauled and create systems that are fair. First for employees and second for them, so that South Africa will in the end receive justice. So it's not, I know people like Maumela, Mandin, who will take chances. But the thing is, once they do and take chances, you can do absolutely nothing to them if you don't have the right systems in place.
Yes, I agree.
I'm listening to people here saying that, oh no, he's poor performer. Yeah, in the how did I go mosebetsing? What I translated in. How did I go mosebetsing? Because only poor performer. Give me read. Or in fact, manager wa khona hore mosebetsing a o nke o ise DC. I'm also giving you free advice, ne? Because are poor perform. Ne? Because say maybe when something I will submit a report that you were supposed to. Ne? Number one, or akaunga, just like that, and take you to a DC. Poor performance is managed differently to general misconduct in the workplace.
Yes.
So there are certain they call procedure. They failed. The JP has failed in he appears to have failed. And most people will win cases. Her procedure how is a hand. In a lady and it's open to abuse. Because now JP, he gets there, rightly so. Pissed off. He appears very pissed off. Le Maumela. And it appears that it has been an ongoing thing for a long time. But he left it up until he gets him there. How do you leave someone for so long? And there's another user saying, how can a judge be in a PIP? Judges are employees in the workplace. They get paid. They sign contracts. They must have performance agreements. Yes. They must have clear performance assessments, periodic performance assessments, so that when there are problems like this, it's easy to manage them. So I agree. No judge should take 5 years. Keep poor performance. But I also say that they got themselves into this problem. Maumela, but people like Maumela, Bausheba in the Musevezi. I'm also one of them. Rausheba Musevezi on the chance. Police how. You know, when you start being employed, I'm also talking. I see that we have a lot of young people here, Bontle for official, Bontle Nana, and others who are still young. 2000. When you get to the workplace, the first thing that you need to study is HR policies. Make it a point that you know them left and right. No one will ever fire you in the workplace. Most managers in the workplace, they think, or you can just call someone and say, I'm fired. I'm quite surprised that the JP himself thought this could fly. He obviously underestimated someone like Maumela. Look at Maumela. His lawyer said, I'm not sure at this point whether he will take a stand or not. I think about 2 days ago, he said something like that. And Maumela has kept quiet. The demeanor of Maumela is a man who's not physically well. Akula. Otlomotebeka jwang antsa tshwara ke di-stroke. Otlomotebeka jwang o sena way ya hore exactly you can pinpoint what his problem is. Bothata ba hae, is he slow because he's sick? Is he slow because he doesn't understand? Is he slow because he doesn't have the right support system in the workplace? He's already cast doubts. That's what something that when we talk about that you must cast doubt. When someone makes an allegation against you, all you have to do is cast doubt. That's what Maumela has done. Nicely so. So that's that.
Loved in France, I have got a question.
Yes, please.
Because if we misdiagnose the problem, the cure is going to be wrong. The reason I'm saying this is Maumela is not an employee. Judges are not employees, and that is clear. There is no doubt about that. So we cannot expect them to go through the normal employee channels like any other person who is an employee. So that's why I said that if we get it wrong, then we are going to get the wrong cue. Judges are not going through the same processes as me and you who are employed. That is why I said at his position where he is there because judges are independent. Just like the JP said, they are independent, and there is a reason why they are independent. They don't follow under the purview of human resource. They don't follow under that at all because of the fact that they are not employees. And by that is why I am of the view that the submissions you make, they are right if he was an employee, but he's not. He's got a different flavor altogether. He's got administrators, personnel, and everyone else who assist him under his wing. He must manage them as well. And you just said he failed to manage those. And as much as he's not an employee, the JP failed to manage him. And he also failed to manage himself on top of that. Because when you trail and look the sickness, the letter that he wrote, he was clear in that letter that whatever he's having problem with doesn't inhibit him to perform his duties. So looking at that letter, you can easily say the sickness came later towards the end of 2022, 2023, because there he was just saying, I've got an issue, I just need to go out, but this issue doesn't really affect me with regards to my workings. So that's what I wanted to submit my learned friend to say. He is not an employee, he doesn't fall under the purview of human resource.
Yes, he's not an employee, I agree. But the form of problems he has in the workplace, in how what do we call it then if he's not an employee? What would be the right word? What would we call judge's workplace? What can I use? I'm not sure. I can't words escape me. But the problems that he has take the form of many problems that employees and companies would have in the workplace. So,
yeah, you can say it's a public official.
Yes, a public official that in either way, let's say, for example, Cyril and ministers, it sounds like it could be something like that. It sounds like it could be like political office bearers reporting to the president. I don't think that if Cyril, removes them from a portfolio, they can take him to court. It appears judges can't take, say, for example, if Maumela was unhappy, he couldn't have taken the JP to CCMA. Correct? You couldn't have, ne?
No, he couldn't.
Yeah, we couldn't. But even so, official, even so, there are gaps then within the legislation that guides their employment. When they have problems, it would be difficult to manage them. That's what the bane of my thing is, that in itself, they've created it. They said, judges, you are kings. You do as you please. You will hear Rata often saying, in my court. And many judges, they like it. In my court. But then, how nale matata, then what? Matata, like this guy is saying, for example, or he didn't have the right support system. Someone came, an ex-employee came, and he sort of chopped him up to say that even when yourself. So the assistance in Alematat is poor perform. He's the poor perform. Then it means Leana JP himself. There are certain things that he didn't create the right environment then. So maybe this is a moment in time that maybe they need to look at, is it an act that guides them? I'm not sure. They need to look at the provisions there. Habana le matata, what happens? Yes, Maumela is a senior judge. He should know. But in this instance, then there are these problems. How much do you weigh them? That's fine. I'm done.
Just to add there on your conversation with official minister, there's a clause that advocate Badela read, official minister. I was trying to check it, but I think I need to go back to the record to get the exact clause in the norms and standard. He put that clause to Judge President Mlambo to say, yes, they are independent, but the norms and standards are saying there should be a system of management. And it became clear that Mlambo does not have that system, as Laftin Francis is saying. Yes, it's not a kind of system that would be similar to managing Deni or official minister or Brenda. It's going to be a slightly different system of managing judges because indeed they are independent. You cannot micromanage them like any ordinary employee. But Badela read that clause that says there has to be a system of managing these people. But again, for me, the important question was the one that was raised by Judge Dennis Davis to say, how can a judge be off work for 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, without any of you knowing? The PA, the judge president, the deputy judge president, and all Judge Mlambo could say was that he didn't tell me that he had stroke. Now, I've seen people on the comment section saying the next of kin was supposed to have informed the employer. There's no such an obligation. The obligation is between the employer and the employee.
And then just to add even on that, for example, he's off. He doesn't have an obligation to send his staff, his family, to inform the employer, like you and me and official and everyone would have with our employers. To say most companies would have a clause in the HR policy, in our sick leave, to say if you're sick within so many hours, please inform a manager. JP, as you say, he's sick for 2 weeks. He doesn't even send anyone to his house. Normally, most companies would send a registered letter.
Yes.
To your house to say we notice that, or a messenger we notice that you have not been to work. What is the problem? They don't phone you to say that the messenger is not going to come to your house and say, they're not going to say that. They're going to make an inquiry. JP himself didn't make that. So you have JP as the manager, as the head of judges. He himself who fails to manage. So there's also something that it means that the culture in that office appears to be toxic and low level and has no, how do I say, it's just a poor culture. That your employee wakula, you don't even phone and ask. You don't have to like them. But someone gets off from work for 2 weeks, you don't ask. Number 2, you come and you complain. You take them to an inquiry. And you say, they didn't tell you. Whilst you yourself didn't do anything about it. So, I don't know. You must understand me very well. Maumela is a poor performer. But Maumela is the type of person I like. He poor performer, but understands the laws and provisions and takes advantage. So that's what makes it interesting about, then you would know you were a shop steward, about CCMA cases. I had someone, let me not.
For the record, left in France, I was also, I left my previous employer on the ticket of poor performance, so I know that topic very well.
You see? So there are so many things that we could say, but because it's social media, the next thing my boss is going to call me and say, hey, wait, what is this and this that you were talking about? But there's so many things that in the workplace, it's not easy I know it's not a workplace. It's a public. Someone has just given the right term for them. Office bearers, public office bearers. In itself, they failed. Judges are going to do as they please, and they will come with reasons. So I hear that he says that he's not sick. He's been sick is not necessarily the reason for poor performance, but the culture enables poor performance. I think that's maybe official then him. In my last word, I take it that his illness, he's sick, his health it's not the cause of his poor performance. Then in that instance, I will say that the culture, they have a poor workplace culture, they have a poor culture. Ke yona e breedang poor performance. I'll get off then. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Left in France. Official Minister, do you want to say something?
Just a question. Then, is it on record that he was off for 2 weeks based on the medical records? Is that confirmed or it was a proposition?
No, it's a version. It's a version that Badela was put into Mlambo.
I understood it to be a version. And then Mlambo said, if that was to happen, Obrile Dwaba must pick it up. Deputy Just President, who is hands-on with regards to the operations, will be able to pick that thing up and let me know. And for the fact that they haven't notified him, he then made an assumption that it didn't happen. He should have known.
It can be argued that Mlambo was deflecting responsibility to Ledwaba.
No, but when you understand the role of Ledwaba is the one who is managing, who is more hands-on with regards to that. But you might have a point. Yes. Let's wait for Ledwaba coming. He's gonna come, yes. And obviously that question must be posed. That proposition or version must be posed to him to say, in case it happens that somebody is not at work for 2 weeks, how will you know? Or or will you know, or what should then happen? Because I understood his response to say, that is not my responsibility. Like you say, you see there's a deflection. It's not my responsibility. DJP should have known and notified me.
And in actual fact, Official Minister Thapelo is making a point here, Thapelo Molala, and I think he's correct. DJP is managing the court role, not the operational aspects of judges' behaviors and conduct. I think his bigger responsibility, if I'm not mistaken, we can double check that. But I think Thapelo is correct. He's more hands-on when it comes to the court role.
Then my question is, how, because I think that's where he was coming from, to say if that happened, he was going to know because he would have missed certain things. Wasn't it coming from that angle?
No, I think the answer to that question, actually that answer that you're giving, was in regard to the issue the Senzo Meyiwa trial. How he got to be hearing the matter when it was trial ready. I think that's where the DJP comes in.
No, he said,
who allocated him.
He also said it when they were asking about 2 weeks. When he didn't answer that question, yes, of whether he will know if somebody is off for 2 weeks or not. He said he will only know through DJP if that happened. So I'll go and validate that, but that's how I understood it. And then I am saying, if he was deflecting and running away from that particular question, then when GAP comes, it will be clarified. No problem.
Definitely. Yeah. All right, let's move to Kokomama Wawili. Good evening.
Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Bradeni, today, do you see what we are talking about today? We're talking about the gross incompetence
Yes.
of an entire judge.
Yes.
And this judge is Maumela. He's black.
Yes.
Yesterday, there was an entire debacle in court that the entire country is talking about. What transpired yesterday is almost similar to this situation, Maumela, that is being described. Just lawyers just acting in court however they please. He was absent, right? But the judge complained that, the notification that he gave was not sufficient. And there is an utterance made by Judge Tshifiwa yesterday that has lawyers jumping out of the windows crying fire in the courtroom. He said black lawyers and judges' lawyers evolved. They're lawyers at the end of the day, are they not?
Who? Judges?
Yeah.
They always say that we are all lawyers here.
They are lawyers.
Yeah.
Right.
Judge
We've just
Tshifiwa
assumed superior positions.
Yeah, he uses that phrase all the time. Even at the SCA, at the Constitutional Court, you hear them all the time saying, we are all lawyers here.
You can't be a judge if you're not a lawyer, basically.
You can be, but in odd instances, but yeah, you can be.
But you understand?
Yes.
Now, let us look at the track record of, at the very least, high-profile black lawyers in this country. How their reputations have been marred with scandals. Look now, Mutata, Tula Maboto.
Yes.
Just now we were dealing with impeaching
Judge John Klopp.
Who's that lady? Klopp. Just and now we were dealing with impeaching another one. That lady. Busisiwe.
Okay.
Now she's wearing aprons. What's a Brady? But just look at this. Now, look at the circus that is going on in that courtroom. That very one that we are looking at now. Just look at the other one, Tobani. How he was looking at the judge, addressing him as if he's talking to a friend. They've just had a squabble at their bar.
Your worship. Your worship.
Your worship.
Your worship.
Your worship. Bomushololo. Yeah, we're all lawyers here. We're all lawyers here. In court.
We all have our own experiences. Don't come and tell us about your experience.
But these people are just stopping short of saying Oscar Twaela to a judge in court. These people that I've just mentioned, these are at least the high-profile lawyers that we are talking about. Never mind the normal lawyers, even litigation lawyers that you will hear, hey, Mang ate my rough money. Hey, every day the LPC is full of complaints. Give me maybe 3 examples of white lawyers or judges who we have dealt with a huge scandal of this type of nature. That we maybe have. Anyone can name any white lawyer or any white judge that we've had similar type of scandals to.
I don't know any. Maybe people can remind us. I don't know of any.
Phew. Nothing. So is it that Rata's utterance is perhaps a conversation that really needs us to start having? Is this maybe a conversation that we need to perhaps start having and maybe reflect on as Black people and reflect on our professionalism? How Black professionals need to carry themselves so that we do not have to, now when someone says, is this how Black people behave? So that we do not, so that we are never finding ourselves wanting. Before BLA deals with the issue of that utterance, why doesn't BLA try to deal with the things that, why don't they reflect and maybe take everyone back to, what this profession is all about? This is like doctors. It used to be that we say doctors and lawyers because it's there, but really, so the utterance, people will jump because it has the word Black and it's going to be race, it's going to be this. But what about how if we sit down and we have this conversation really about the Blackness in relation to professionalism? I don't want to stay too long, Grady. Because Blesser says I cook for an hour.
Thank you, Kukumama.
Thank
Prateni,
Yes, official minister.
Vokuku Mama, they just touch people on their stereos. That video where they said, I think it was an interview in the studio, they said, don't touch me on my stereo, something like that.
Yeah, it was Chris Maroling interviewing Andre Fisage.
Yes. So, Prateni, there are millions of rands that left this country because of a wealthy lawyer and his son who fled South Africa. They are not Black. So they might not be published, Kukumama, or we might have forgotten about them. But the reality is, if you were to go to LPC website, see who is struck off the roll and who is suspended. They are white there. Yes. So yes, and I think as much as they are there, it doesn't make us worse or good. It's just that we coexist, but they are there. Most they've been struck off the roll. They've been behaving in an unquestionable way. But I don't think we can make it a race issue as such, that we are mostly not performing. I mean, we've got Ngugai Toby. As much as some may not like him, but according to me, he's very good. There is quite a few. You've got Advocate Moela, up and coming. They are coming. I mean, even in the sense of Meyiwa case, you've got Ngumalo. I think Ngumalo, I rate him. Even Ramusepele, I do rate him. He's proper. It's just that they are getting there. In a year, in 10 years' time, like Rata said, when they look at what they were doing, they will laugh at themselves and they will be very sharp then. And then got Sibanda as well. So, Advocate Sibanda. So, they are the la cream within our black communities who are doing very well.
Yes.
I mean, there was a time where Julius Malema said EFF is got many black lawyers on retainer. And he said, these black lawyers, they know nothing. We are losing matters because these black lawyers knows nothing. He was not really generalizing to say all of them. He was contextualizing it to say, we have lost matters. They were never followed up. They were never challenged.
The ones that we have on
as the
retainer.
result,
He did not say all of them.
Yes. So yes, I agree. So I'm saying, as much as they are the bad ones, most of them are very good and excellent. So yeah. Let's not. I felt like you are painting.
I'm not painting all of them.
Cloud when we really need the sunglasses now because the future looks bright. So,
we do need Mara. You know that there will always be a few weeds among the wheat, right? Mara, now when it seems like these weeds are just popping up like at a rate that is quite alarming, then it's a problem. Then it's a problem especially because these are the lawyers that are high profile, that are visible. You understand? Malawamu, there was this other guy, Barki Chiliso, that Chiliso guy. And now Chiliso na. You can see, man. You can see, or this is, a good lawyer. But the problem is that it's now that we are seeing him. You understand? But how many have I just counted? And then they are excellent lawyers. They really are black, excellent lawyers and black, excellent professionals as well. They are there. But let us not, as black people, not want to recognize when we are lacking. And every time when someone says black, and then we want to make it about race. You understand? You could just reflect, Omar, what is it that, this person might be seeing? I'm not defending to say, or he mustn't say black, but also I'm saying, how about we also reflect? That's all I'm saying.
Thank you, Koko Mama. Nelao, you can unmute your microphone and good evening.
Good evening, Brother Denny, and Official Minister, Sis Brenda, Koko Mama. Thank you for that laugh, and everyone. I had a sort of understanding, and I think most of the outlook that I had on this on Judge Maumela's issue was discussed by Loved in France. I'm sorry, but I also have kind of a different outlook on this. So most jurisdictions have established legal and ethical frameworks that are set. There are standards for judicial conduct, and that includes maybe laws that are passed by legislatures and regulations set by judicial bodies. So judges are expected to adhere to these standards. including principles of integrity, competencies, and the likes. So we cannot really expect someone to be pushing them to do their work because they hold that sort of high level positions of authority and public trust. So we shouldn't really, if you are on the position, you shouldn't really be expecting people to remind you of what to do like you're a normal employee, because you are not. And there comes a lot of questions where I think the judge has really just slacked on his responsibilities. Because if he could not deal with so many cases, he should have said, no, I can take on so many cases. But having that said, there is also judicial oversight bodies that are supposed to be responsible for overseeing judges' conduct. And then these bodies are empowered to investigate whether the person is incompetent and take disciplinary actions if necessary. So where was this body and what happened that this judge had cases that were supposed to be finalized for so long, so many cases, and it's only until now that we are hearing something or that something is being done about it, and sort of is like, okay, it's your fault. It's his fault, yes, he was supposed to be responsible, but there is an oversight body that was supposed to be in place and look out for things so that we don't slack back and then things are done as they should. When did this start? When did they realize that he is being incompetent? When did they get to know that he's slacking back? And one thing that I also caught up was there was a sort of information that no, he appointed himself to take over the Central case. They knew this was going to come up, obviously, but they slacked also behind in providing that documentation that, look, here we are, we should provide all the paperwork that has anything to do with whatever is in the complaint or whatever was being investigated. How is that they didn't have this paperwork in place? It looks like also we are saying the judge is slacking back, but yet also the investigation process that are evaluating this competency are also lacking, sort of, or they have an inability to put together the paperwork as it should. So I'm just saying, at this point, I think we shouldn't be in this position that we have a judge who is left for so long. And I think this is going to serve as an example going forward and a learning platform going forward, that these oversight bodies are doing their work so that if, for example, in the context of judicial discipline, failure to adhere to procedural rules are spotted out in time and they are dealt with in time, so that there are no delays in issuing decisions or there are no patterns of incompetency whatsoever. I just feel like this is a different kind of level. Imagine if we have a president that does that. That just totally is away from, he's supposed to give a whatever statement and then he just doesn't show up and nobody knows where this person is, and we just let it go on and on and on. And now because unfortunately the person that is going to suffer is the public, it's the people on the ground. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to bring up.
Thank you, Nelao. Hachi from Kwampetu Yajiga. You can unmute your microphone and good evening.
Good evening, Brother Nick. Good evening to everyone. Bradeni, I'm not gonna touch much on Judge Maumela.
Yes.
I am waiting for DJP to come in that tribunal and to lay down what really happened there. However, I am disappointed to hear that he put the matter when he was supposed to be on recess, but he said we can come in. He then does not pitch up. He was not compelled to come to court or to put that matter while they are on recess. But he said, let's go on, but he doesn't pitch up. Lawyers from all the way from Cape Town, they come to court. He's not there. He's somewhere in Limbombo. When his phone, he said he's forgot. What? Forgot? Where is the secretary? Both of them, did they forget? Both of them. Him, secretary, and the registrar. All of them, did they forget? Sure. That their forgetfulness is very expensive. Very, very, very expensive. We're very disappointed about him out with.
And Hachi, Judge Dennis Davis, he points that blame more on the side of the registrar because he gives an example. He says, me, Dennis Davis,
Yes.
I'm a forgetful judge.
Yes.
One day I forgot that I had a met at 9 o'clock and I was having coffee.
Yes.
Thanks to my registrar, she came and said, Judge, we've got a met at 9 o'clock. And he
Yes.
stopped that coffee. 9:05, he was back in court.
Yes. That's why I'm mentioning all of them. That's why I'm mentioning all of them. Secretary, the registrar, all of them. Because they dare to complement each other, isn't it? Now, very same Judge Maumela comes back and the judge president asks him, when you come back, you must please see me. He doesn't. Eventually, he sees him. He says, the computer crashed. Aibo, computer crashed? You lost everything. There was no backup. That's what you can come up with. I'm very disappointed on that part of him. Said the computer crashed. Now, the secretary also, they didn't know this computer crash of the judge. The registrar, all of them.
He crashed it, according to.
Yes, according to Maumela, he's the one who crashed it.
Hey, it's disappointing, you know. You know, lawyers are expensive, very expensive. For someone to die waiting for the judgment, 5 years waiting for the judgment, you end up dying.
It's bad.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. Very disappointed. But I'm just waiting for next week for Judge Letwaba because it's him who deal with operation on that court. You see, comes up to fill in these gaps that were left by the judge president.
I don't think Ledwaba will be called because the evidence leader, official minister, if we can confirm that, the evidence leader said he was ready to close his case. So I don't think Ledwaba is coming. Actually, he wanted to close his case on Tuesday when they returned. So it doesn't look like Ledwaba is coming. I think the only two witnesses that he had was Mulambo and the former registrar.
That's disappointing. I must move on, Bradeni. You know, yesterday when I did not agree with what Judge Rata said,
Yes.
I saw some people here on the comment section were saying, hey, these people are fighting with Rata now. Not fighting with Rata. We just don't agree. Personally, I respect Rata. But what he said about black lawyers, that's the only thing that I don't agree with him. I don't.
But Hachi, I think we also need to be fair to Rata, because he said, let me qualify it, not all. I think that's also important to factor in.
Yeah. Bradeni, I hear that.
Yes, the issue of race should not arise, because it's not only black who are in, like the question that Kokomam was debating with official minister. There are white, incompetent lawyers that we don't get to see every day on TV.
100%.
Up until you go to the LPC and you realize that they are being struck off the roll as well because of that kind of a conduct. So the question of race, honestly, should not arise. But yeah, he tried to qualify it. So I think we should also recognize that.
Exactly, but let's take this thing that is wrong. What is wrong, it must be kicked out of the window. What is wrong? What is said, you see? And then to come to the official minister, I am happy when he was talking to Coco Mama, you see, clarifying to her. Let us not, this thing of a race is wrong. To put a race is wrong. You know what, Bradeni? Because if I heard well, I stand it for correction. If I heard well, Coco Mama even said to you, count 1, 2. Yeah, you know what I mean? There is a lawyer, white lawyer, who is accused of trafficking and the sex rape of children, Mr. Paul Kennedy. Are you with me? He's a white lawyer. But we're not there. I'm just complimenting what the official minister said. We're not there. We're not supposed to be there. Let us not reduce this conversation to that of a race. No. If someone is wrong, irrespective of white, green, or black. Let us not go to the race. If, like my lady Coco Mama mentioned, that one and that one, if that comment they commented is wrong, should not be put like that. Black lawyers, no, let us not reduce this conversation to that rabble of race. No, I disagree on that part.
Yeah.
Fundamentally. Okay. Other than that, Bradeni, I still say, on terms of Senzo's case, I am happy what is on the table with all the evidence that is put in there. I want to use official minister so as when he say, we are cruising nicely. Indeed, in that case, we are cruising nicely. We're just waiting for these 2 accused that are in Kwasobuza to come back on the AKA matter and see what really Umtitieli got the 800,000 from, and what are the bank statement, how much and when, how many monies was he getting there, for how long. You see, all those bank statements will reveal everything. We are in for the interesting times, Bradeni and everyone from here, Kwampetu Yachiga. We say thank you. You have a great evening.
Thank you, Hachi from Kwampetu Yachiga. Tense, you can unmute your microphone, and good evening.
Good evening, Bradeni. Good evening to the panelists. On the judge problem, I think what is happening right now is what should be happening if there is a problem with the judge. I don't think it's a certain it's a responsibility of the JP. Like we have agreed in the last 15, 20 minutes that like JP is not the employer. So it should be going to where it is now. But like, and as also JP did indicate that like he asked the lawyers that were not happy to write to the commission, Judicial Service Commission. But lawyers refused because they were concerned and scared of being victimized.
Yes.
So, and then obviously, eventually at the end, then JP had to do something. Because like he said, at the end of the day, I also have a responsibility to the people, the litigants and the public that I'm serving, basically. So I think like because of we agreed 20 minutes ago, the employment structure, if there's a problem with a judge, this is the right place to handle those problems, you know. So, and then also the way I understood JP, I'm going to paraphrase and put it the way I understood him on that issue of stroke and that 2 weeks of being not at work. The way I understood him is, if this is me now talking, if it was true that like he was away for 2 weeks, I would have known about it. That's how I understood him, meaning he doesn't believe that he was away for 2 weeks. But let's wait for him to come on the chair, and then he will explain what his lawyer said. And then I go back to the letter of 2020. I think we were around COVID at that time. The lawyer tried to put that letter as if he was indicating that he's sick, the way he was presenting it. And then they had a bit of a debate, and then also when they read the letter, it was clear that like the letter was indicating, the main purpose of the letter was, I need permission, travel permission so that I can move between the two provinces. I think it was a time of COVID whereby we needed travel documents, things like that. So I think I think JP, he may have come very late to the commission and report it, but I don't think like he has done anything wrong. But like it's up to him now, the judge, to explain himself.
Yes.
And then let's talk on the race issue. Earlier on, I tapped here Mabel Jansen. There was a Pretoria High Court judge that is white that commented negatively in relation to rape and black people.
I think I remember that name.
Mabel Jansen.
Yeah, I remember that.
When the very same commission that is looking at Judge Maumela now, when he started to say, okay, we need to look at this, because it seems as if on my side, that's where judges, when they do wrong things, go to and explain themselves. When that commission, like you can even check on Google now, because like when it was mentioned, this black and white thing, I tried to remember what is her name. But like before she went to the commission, she resigned and retired as a judge. So that's how she got out of it, of being explaining herself, and then the commission takes a position. And then also another high profile, I think official did, I don't know whether official was talking about the same person. The Babrov, the ones that ran to Australia. They were over. Sorry?
Yes, those are the same people.
Yes. They ran to Australia. I think their main issue was they were overcharging rough clients. They ran to Australia when the things were closing down on them. I think the wife was left in the country. She was arrested for some time, but I think they had to release her because like she was not directly involved. I don't know where it ended the case, but like I think she ended up being released because she was not directly involved. I think it was the father and the husband and the son that were main catalyst in that problem. They ran to Australia. They never came back. So problems are across racial lines. That's what I was trying to say. Problems are across racial lines. And then I'm hoping also the commission, the JSC commission, will clarify that clause of monitoring. Because like there was a debate between JP and the lawyers of Maumela on that. Because JP is of the view that like, I'm a judge. This is a judge. I should not be monitoring him. So I'm hoping then they will clarify how, and I'm happy that Maumela raised that topic, so that like it can be clarified, that monitoring part, so that like moving forward we don't debate such things and we have a clear stance.
Yeah.
I think that's it on my side. I don't know whether I mentioned the letter that he was asking for. Oh no, I did talk about the letter,
Yes.
but it was not clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Terence.
Radeni.
Sure, Official Minister.
Sure, quick one, my brother. You know the the race issue, or when you bring the race in it, it also depends on context and the audience you are addressing. I mean, I was thinking of something here. Maybe some will come on the platform and share it. But then if I were to say, especially it was triggered by your point where you said, remember, he qualified it.
Yes.
You see, I sometimes ask myself question to say, when do we need to qualify and when do we need not to qualify? Because sometimes it is acceptable. Maybe it's context. If I were to say, Bradeni, white people have stolen the land. I'm not saying some of them. I'm saying white people have stolen our land. And I say those who know they have not stolen the land, they must not be worried. I'm not talking about them. That's it. I'm not qualifying it. And I come and say black men are trash. And I raise up a hand, I say, but I'm not a trash. They say, no, why are you complaining? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those who are trash.
Yes.
You see the inconsistency. And we come and say black lawyers are incompetent. And it then becomes very heavy to absorb, because now it's like you don't qualify it. Why can't you qualify it and say some black lawyers are incompetent? But hence I'm saying maybe it depends on context, or maybe it depends on the recipients, or maybe we are hypocrites. We are not. I mean, it depends. We change depending on whatever issue we facing. But those are some of the interesting things where generalization doesn't really matter, but in some cases it does matter. Maybe it's something that we need to reflect on.
That's true. I agree. Okay, guys, I don't see anyone on the queue. Today we didn't really have any specific topic to talk about. I think we're just helping people not to be bored, because when people get bored, they move around other people's houses, they start causing problems, and you get those saying that beat the dog until the owner comes out, and the owner doesn't come out.
And you are the owner.
Yes.
Of these dogs.
Yes.
You see, now you are creating something else. We are calling people dogs now, brother.
Yeah.
And you are the owner of that particular. This dog, we are going to beat it. But when the dog is down, you must kick it very hard.
No, they said that. I've heard that saying. Somebody said it out loud that beat the dog until the owner comes out. So I think that was the reason we came here, guys, so that we don't hear those kind of sayings because they are very wrong by their nature. So, if there's no one, Brenda, you still want to talk about the Showmax?
Oh, brother. Yeah, brother. Okay, where do I start? Just 2 seconds, brother. All right, brother. I don't know. I think a lot of people have now watched Thabo Bester's documentary, Thabo and Nandipa's documentary.
Yes.
Others didn't. I just wanted them to, have a light as to what's going on that documentary. Now, it started with Crown Up journalist Brady, who were investigating after hearing that there was a body that was burned beyond recognition in the cell. Now, what happened was they found it weird that there was a lady called Nandipa who claimed the body, and when they started Googling this lady, they found out that this lady was actually, the celebrity doctor who was, enjoying her life and having all these luxurious cars, living the life in jail. And they found it very weird that what would she do? Like, what's her involvement in all that? To be involved with someone who's in prison. So that's how they found out about her, and they also started investigating. And then, Bradeni, what happened as well was there's a brother as well there, Nandipa's brother, who also contacted Crowned Up a journalist and gave them basically the details that he knows, because he started, knowing Thabo through Nandipa, and he started questioning the way they were interacting with each other, Bradeni, calling each other babes and all that, and he was surprised because Nandipa was married. So he started investigating and also calling Thabo, and Thabo even asked him, what do you call a person who buys someone, these beautiful cars, someone who's got, who's taking care of the family? Are you calling that person a mentor? Because Nandipa said to his brother that was her mentor. So now the brother started, suspecting, because he says when Thabo would call Nandipa sometimes and says he's in New York, sometimes he will hear, people shouting in Venek. And he will even ask himself, because sometimes Thabo, when he calls, he'll be lying on bed, or sometimes he'll be against the wall. So he would ask himself as to, but really, where in New York is this guy at? But when he started hearing the voices, the Venek language, he started now having a lot of doubt and started investigating Thabo up until he found out who Thabo was. And he confronted Thabo through the phone, and Thabo, said to him, you can't do anything. When he said to him, yeah, I know you are Thabo Bester, because he said he called him by the name, and Thabo Bester said to him, no, but there's nothing that you can do. Basically saying to him, he's connected, he's very well connected. And he even said to him, I think you better get out of my house. And they spoke with Nandipa, I think, and the father was involved as well to take the guy out, the brother, out from the house that he occupied with his family. And then he even, Thabo even threatened him that he will shoot him in the head if he doesn't leave that house. So, now we move on to I think a lot of people have seen that clip of a video when Thabo was escaping from prison at around 2:59, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, at AM's Brady. He was also wearing uniform. You know what worried me was the guy, the ex-warden, when he said they used to be told, Hore, the criminals, the prisoners are the clients, and they get from money from those people. So it really, really worried me, Bradin. And as well as, Dr. Nandipa, befriending Dr. Pashi, and even, scamming her out of millions. Even promising Bradeni Hore, they will bring in Oprah, and as well as scamming people through property, claiming that they have this developing property company. So every time they had to develop houses and all that, there will be nothing to show, and people would pay deposits of millions, Brady. Millions and millions. And what surprises me, Bradeni, and I think as well as myself now as a fool as well, because I didn't even see the pictures. I used to go through his pictures, but I wasn't even aware that there was one post that he posted, where Thabo posted, Brady, where he photoshopped himself. Hey, wait, in a beautiful car, a picture of Michael B. Jordan. His face was there, Bradeni, and now that they're showing it, it's clear that it's photoshopped. But at the time, I didn't even see anything to think that it was photoshopped. They even went as far as Bradeni organizing an event, saying to the people that Halle Berry and Taraji B. Henson were coming. Up until those people, started tweeting and saying, and saying that, what's going on here? Okay, let me not read the comments. Yeah, and saying, Bradeni, that those people were coming, and these people would deny it and said, no, we don't even know anything about it. So now here comes Snow, Bradeni, who assisted Bester. Snow is that guy, Bradeni, who's a Chabia. This guy, what happens is they started, suspecting him, because after Thabo Bester's escape, he started, he bought himself an expensive car, way beyond his, his affordability, Bradeni. So they started suspecting him. Now, this warden officer the ex-warden officer says, Snow stole a body from a mortuary, and he had that body for 4 days, Bradeni. And he kept that body hidden at the workshop in a TV stand. So he was even asked, what has happened? Why does he think that body wasn't smelling? And he thinks that there were things that were used. There were things that were used. Maybe he even suggested that maybe he might have used ice, to take care of the body and making sure that it doesn't smell, Bradeni. I'm trying to look here. Again, Bradeni, we also have the two guys that he scammed as well. There's a guy called Mataba, a and Johnny Maponyane, Brady. These people had a production company, so they were approached by Thabo. And Thabo said to him he's from Hollywood and he wanted a production company that can shoot, and they must also organize 20 models, and those models must also have their own laptops. When these guys came, Thabo came with like a bus and coming to pick up these people. And he said to them, you know what, before we shoot, let's just go to a restaurant, sit and talk about this whole thing and see how, we're going to work with these things. And these people allowed him, Bradeni, they even left the camera that this guy now apparently saying that he even, borrowed it from his friend. So now they went inside. Remember, it's 20 people, Bradeni, plus 2 of these guys, and as well as Tab. When they got inside, Bradeni, they started eating, and Thabo started, requesting keys from the chauffeurs. And after some time, he stood up and went to the car and left with those guys, and leaving these 2 people with these 20 models, Bradeni, and also leaving them with a bill of 15,000 rand, because when he got there, he told them, you know what, enjoy yourself, order anything that you want. So they started, going wild and ordering anything and everything that they could eat. And they ended up with a bill of 15,000 plus. And after a few hours, the man was gone. They started now thinking, what, Thabo is been gone for a long time. And now they started getting worried, up until the owner of the restaurant saying to them, you know what, you guys, you must make space. I still have other customers that are coming in. So now they started now realizing that they've been scammed by this man. And also he took these laptops and also took as well the camera that this guy borrowed. And again, guys, there's 3 ladies. There's 2 ladies actually who were also chosen as presenters. Where those 2 ladies survived because there were red flags. Now, the fiance of one of the girls the lady said he wasn't feeling comfortable, so he wanted to drive the lady there where Thabo was. And Bradeni, this teaches us, when we feel uncomfortable with something, we should act on it. Now, this guy, opted to driving the fiance to Thabo. And when he got there, he was really uncomfortable. And Thabo was saying, you know what, let's just change the location and go somewhere else. That's when now they started, being very concerned. And the other one started Googling now and, looking for this name, Thabo, because he used to even call himself Tom Motsepe, saying that he was related to the real Motsepe. Now, what happened was, Bradeni, they drove there and even called the police after finding out who Thabo was. But, some of our police really, they don't act in situations like that. They will tell you a lot of things and which they did and never pitched. Yes. But luckily, these ladies were saved. But now, Thabo also got one lady who he took his car, like his valuables, his car, his laptop, his cell phone, and, raped this lady, strangled her, and also stabbed her, Bradeni. And as well as now going to another lady who he met at I think it was a car dealership, and he promised her that she can, he can, take her to higher places. This lady should become a modeler. And the lady agreed, which he did take her to Cape Town, at the most expensive hotel. And what happened was, this lady, when they got there, they stayed there, and I don't know what was happening, but Thabo, I think, left, and this lady started going through Thabo's phone and finding messages of other girls, and they started fighting about it, up to a point where Thabo killed this lady. When in the morning he went out and left her body like that in that room, then he even told the receptionist that I'm coming back, but don't disturb the lady in my room, only to find later on when they checked, because they were now worried to say, but this guy's been gone for a long time and this lady hasn't came out from the room. Now they went and investigated and found that the lady was already dead, Brady. So now that's basically it, Brady. It just shows you what Thabo was really running this multi-million rand scam in prison, Brady, and freely so. And this is just season 1, episode 1 and 2, and we're still gonna see going forward the involvement of Nandipa. Thank you, Brady. Of Nandipa, and moving now. It's very interesting when Bradeni, and I think people should go and watch. And I understand other people don't have Showmax, but we'll be able to always give them, information as we go along. And thank you so much.
Thank you for that update and background. I think I watched episode 1 and stopped somewhere in the middle because something distracted me. So I'll also finish it, and I think maybe sometime next week we can have a special day about it again, just to unpack it.
Yes.
Once again, hopefully there would be more episodes. Because I think they were just releasing the first 2 for now. So I'm sure there will be more episodes to come.
Thank you so much, Brady, and thanks for people for listening.
Thank you, Brenda. All right, guys, I think we're gonna take the last 2 people who are on the queue, and then we call it a day. We've got Tandolwe 2 and let's see, Zulu Mnyama. Tandolwe 2, good evening, my brother.
Evening, Badeni. Mr. Official Minister, Sis Brenda, everyone that is on the panel, not the panel actually, everyone that is on the comment session. Good evening.
Hey, Tada.
I come, Badeni, because I think I'm starting to realize something, that I think Sis Brenda, this case bothers her a lot. It bothers her a lot because maybe as a woman, she fears some level of form of danger in terms of that there are people who can operate in a society to that degree, But maybe one day she would really tell me what it is that bothers her, because I'm really interested in the true nature of it. Because if someone comes in someone's space and does not become transparent in terms of who they are, and they are, I wouldn't say fake, they manipulate your space, because as human beings, we're supposed to be transparent,
Yes.
Tell people who you are and let them decide how they want you to fit into the space. You understand?
Yes.
And I think maybe that's what is bothering her. But every prisoner inside prison right now dreams about an escape, Pratini. All of them. There isn't one that does not dream about it. In fact, they have gone to a degree to call it the Great Escape. When this boy did this thing, they called it the Great Escape. It fitted in the narrative. It made sense to them. But my concern has always been, it is this danger that I feel, Sis Brenda feels, you know. Because Minister asked a question, what is it that women really are interested in someone who of a nature of Thabo Bester, or it could have been me, or any other ex-offender or an offender. What is it that they're really interested in? Maybe that topic is bigger and wider than what it seems, you know. But I wouldn't blame anyone for putting themselves in that position if they understood and there was a level of transparency, you know, to say, well, okay, this is me and this is what I do. This is what I've done. Do you allow me into your space? You know? So it becomes a level of transparency and people can decide what they want, you know? But I hear you, and I think I understand where you are coming from. If you are coming from there, I am too speculating, you know. But I was once, when there was the biggest escape that actually took place, you know, was the one that took place in Mama's Berry. I was there, but then I was eating a pie and cool drink. Remember I told you I was working at the shop, so we didn't have anything. It was a Friday. And it was during the time they tried to relax some of the restrictions, you know. And as I was sitting there, I saw a lot of guys coming out. And Coke was delivering that day, you know. And these boys, because it was only trialies, it was not the sentence, it was the trials. The trials are a big problem, but then they are the same as the juveniles. So they came out running. It was more than 64 of them. And the people that actually apprehended those boys were not even the police. The people that apprehended those boys, all 64 of them, on that very same day, it was the community, you know. It was the community that, I think it was 2021, somewhere between May, somewhere there. It was there during that time. Yeah, I think it was during that time. So those people were a danger, and those white people feared, because when they heard that there's prisoners that had escaped, all of them started their bakkies and they went for it, you know, because there's a threat in the society, because you don't know what these people are therefore capable of doing because they're trying to escape. So the reason I'm bringing this to is that when a society is a danger, when an individual is a danger, everyone has a right to respond the way that they want to respond. But if we're going to have people that are not going to be transparent in terms of who I am, you know, then this is where the problem starts. And I think women it should be a lesson to a woman, even to men, you know, to make sure that whatever it is that you are engaging in, whatever person or individual that you are engaging in, whether it is through whatever social networks, whatever it is, that you make sure that you do a background check so that you can know, you understand who you are dealing with. You need to know who you are dealing with, you know, not the basis of speculation, you know. And therefore you can decide who you are letting in, because some women have children, you understand. If you are letting a rapist into your house, then the question is how safe. It's not all even about you. How safe is your children? You know, how safe is the neighbors? You understand? Yes. So, yeah, that is my concern when I see such a behavior being perpetrated in whatever sense. You know, Koko Mama asked what was I in for? Robbery. Yeah. Sure, Bradley.
Thank you, Thandolwe too. All right, guys, I think we have exhausted the issues that we needed to tackle today. If there's nothing to be added, I think we can call it a day. Tomorrow is still another working day in the North Gauteng High Court. We expect Advocate Josh Baloyi to bring a new witness. Hopefully, none of the defense will ask for an adjournment to go and study the affidavit or whatever evidence that Baloyi intends to lead, because it's highly possible that with new witnesses there can be issues. But hopefully, there won't be any issue. The court will proceed and we will hear new evidence, which is going to take us to next week. And hopefully the court will also pronounce on Munisi's suggestion that they should sit through recess, because this is a special court, so I think it can sit in recess. So we will see. So yeah, I think Brenda, we can summarize.
Yes. Now, I just wanted to, for people to know that I will keep on giving them this information, Bradeni, because I just said to Queen now that I was warned because I was trying to give them, more information. But it's fine. We'll keep on doing that. And sorry for my voice, Bradeni. Every time when it rains or maybe the weather is bad outside, I don't know. My voice tends to be like this. Yeah, but people shouldn't, forget to subscribe as well, Bradini, on our YouTube channel. Yes. And to people who are talking about English, Bradeni, I would like to tell them, Hore, I'm just here. I'm a moderator. I'm not an English class teacher, Sabato. I'm a moderator, and people should just accept, or it's not all of us who comes from Cure. So they shouldn't expect much. They should expect Brenda.
I muted him.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, no, good night, everyone. Official Thandolwe to, Brady. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, Brenda. Official Minister.
Thandolwe said he was eating a pie and a cold drink. I know of a song that Ingagara aidli pie. Ingagara le